Okay, the recording is started. Welcome to the monthly AG conference. This is August the 25th, and everybody but I think Kenny and Tiffany, we may have one missing, but I can't say anymore. And Gary Dills is going to start us off. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Billy. I've got three things to talk about. First, youth exchange. Please remind all of your clubs that we need to know whether they want to have an exchange student this year, to host one. They don't have to have their people together. They just need to know they have the capability, or if they want to send an outbound student. This is pretty time sensitive for the long-term exchanges. We need those in the next 4 weeks. For the short-term exchanges, we've got a little more flexibility on that, but for the long-term, not. We need to know now. Well, within the next month. On the 12th of September, new topic, the AG Assistant Governor Orientation for the new ones and the current ones. This whole thing is a planning session. I know it sounds like training. It is some training, but mostly it's a planning session. 12th of September, 9 o'clock to about 12:30. Please go online and register. It's up on Dactibay. There's no charge for it. The Grant Management Seminar, put this on your calendar for the 3rd of October. All of these things will be at AB Tech. 3rd of October, I believe that starts at 9 o'clock as well. You'll get much more on that. We'll send a letter out. We're doing the final planning session. Well, maybe not the final one, but the major planning session this Thursday with the content and the rules. Basically, we're trying to make things a little simpler for using lessons learned for the district grants. Global grants probably won't change much at all. And we got a little more money than we did last year, but not as much as Bill will next year. So we're going to try to use all that. Questions or comments or snide remarks along those topics? And that's all I got, Billy.
Okie doke. The reason that I chose this topic, number one, it's membership month, but as I travel throughout the district, I'm amazed at what I'm hearing from clubs. So I am just given an overview of membership. The one thing Jack McCaskill and I talked about today is, you know, even though I talk about this as the Bible, so to speak, for Rotary, there are no hard, fast rules, and there's no Rotary police. But this is kind of what binds us together. We don't want somebody to come into Rotary today and say, I'd like to be a member, and we put them in the club tomorrow. You know, we do want to have a little bit of a proposal process. So let's just look at that real quick. The first thing that I want to talk about is the manual procedure. I keep the manual of procedure. I downloaded it, and let's see if I can get to it. And it sits right here on my desktop. So I can open that manual of procedure, do Control F, and just type membership, and it will give me every instance of membership in the manual of procedure. So if I have a question, it makes it pretty easy to find the answers. So that's one thing. Let me close the manual of procedure. And sometimes you're going to be asked questions about the manual of procedure, and I managed to close. There it is. So just be aware. Also, I sent you the recommended Rotary Club bylaws. They're part of the recommended Rotary Constitution. If your clubs can't find their constitution or their bylaws, they could download this recommended bylaws and edit it to fit their purposes. But they really should have something that everybody goes to and they know how things are that's Bill Biddle. Hush, Bill. And remember that part of the being an effective club is sustaining or increasing membership. So if we have a club that is constantly losing members, we as a leadership group need to intervene and figure out what's going on. Check out the membership manual. Gary Dills has got a new membership manual, and all of his manuals have this great little cover that it's brightly colored. Remember how ours just said membership committee? But when you go through it, it has great ideas about diversity, club image, sponsoring new clubs. It's all in there. So get a chance to read it, download it again. Something I found interesting, and it was in the MOP, is that clubs that have fees and special dues could waive those for anybody under the age of 35. You still have to pay RI dues and district dues, and that's something that Gary and I might look at. If you have a bunch of members under the age of 35, we could look at reducing district dues or something, but you can waive fees. That's this line here. Now, one of the things that came up for discussion this week was transfer of members. There is no real transfer in the sense that I could move over to the Franklin Club and just tell the two secretaries to transfer my membership. I have to resign from my club and then ask to be a member of the Franklin Club. Keeping in mind that the Franklin Club could say, we have too many retired school teachers. And, you know, that is still a concern, that if you have half of your members are bankers or half of your members are professors or something, that's not a good mix. And they could tell you that, or they could just say, sorry, we don't want you. So remember that there's no automatic transfer. But the second piece, I'm getting feedback from somebody. I'm sorry for the feedback. But this is the part. It says an active member who moves away from the club can retain membership in the club or be granted a leave of absence for a whole year. That means they have to pay dues. When you're on leave of absence, you pay dues. And the second piece is the honorary membership. It's detailed below. So typically, honorary membership is a real special case. Honorary members are exempt from paying admission fees and dues. They may not vote. They cannot hold office in any club, and they don't hold classifications, but they're entitled to wear the emblem and attend all meetings. This is not somebody that has been a Rotarian and just wants to attend meetings irregularly. That's the rule of 85. And there's been a lot of discussion about the rule of 85, and it's changed recently. Rule of 85 means your age plus the number of years that you've been in Rotary equal 85. You do not have to be 65 years of age. That's an old rule. It no longer exists. So if you have guys in your club that want to be a member but don't want their attendance or non-attendance to count against the club, that's the rule for them, rule of 85, not honorary members. And a lot of the clubs didn't understand that. So that's one piece there. Then Rotarians, back to this transfer piece. When they come into your club and say, I'd like to move, I'm coming from Ohio, ask what the name of their club is and if they know their club number, their club number and their membership number, because that membership number should be used when you put them in Rotary or DAC-DB, because you want their Paul Harris Fellow points and monies to transfer with them. Now, at this point, when you find out that they belong to the Rotary Club of Columbus Sunshine, then my secretary emails or calls or whatever back to that club and says, Billy Black wants to join our club. Here's her number. Can you tell me if she left in good standing? And this is really important, because if they left owing a bunch of money, they need to clear that up before they can join Rotary again. Is everybody tracking with me? Nobody's saying anything.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty. And down here, there is a Rotary relocation form, and this stuff is working real well. Tiffany and I are getting emails from Rotarians that want to relocate, and we're getting emails from interested people that are interested in Rotary. They fill out a little application that goes to Tiffany and I, and we contact people in the club to get hold of them. And it's really been working nicely. It's kind of an exciting new addition to Rotary. So does everybody understand Rule of 85, honorary members, and transfers?
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if there was anything else on this that I wanted to cover. Also, the induction. I keep hearing, Billy, do you have a good induction? And sure I do, but so do they. It's in their president's manual. So, and they can use that. They don't have to use it verbatim. They can do whatever they want for a good induction to the club. So that's all the things I had on that piece. Now let's talk about the proposal. In Rotary, we still propose members. They can say, I'm real interested in joining Rotary, but they have to have a sponsor. They can't show up at the door, say, I want to join Rotary, and then we induct them the next week. That's not how we do it. So make sure that your clubs have this form, and this is a great thing for them to read. First of all, you wear your Rotary pin, talk about Rotary, distribute things, invite friends, ask potential members to become involved, encourage prospective members to look around, and then, let's see where it is. Let me minimize this. Once a prospective member demonstrates an interest in Rotary, the sponsor completes Part A of the membership proposal form. And that's simply name, address, what their business is, that kind of stuff. You do not hand it to the prospective member and say, here's your application. It is not an application. And then the club secretary takes it, and at the next board meeting, they vote on it, and it should be posted for at least 1 week in your bulletin and said, you know, Billy Black would like to join this club. If you have any objections, please see the president before the end of the meeting or before the end of the week. Now, Jack and I were just saying, that's in an ideal world. What if somebody comes in and goes through all the right steps, but it's around Christmas and the board's not going to meet for 60 days? You can, in this digital world, email all the people on the board and say, here is Billy Black's proposal. Here's all the information. Gary Dill says she's a great gal, blah, 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 blah. If anybody has objections, we need to post this person. And then you can post it by email. You can do it all electronically if you want to. It's not best case scenario, but you don't want, as Jack said today, you don't want somebody to wait 60 days before they're inducted. They'll quit before they join. But it's also not an automatic process. So somewhere in between there, we need to still have a proposal process, but not wait forever on it. Does anybody have any questions about our proposal process?
No.
Billy, it's Lynn.
Yes.
I think we need to be really careful when we explain that to potential members because we sound elitist if we're not careful.
What?
I don't have any problem with the process. I just think we need to be really careful in how we come across to explain our membership and proposing it to the members and that kind of thing. And you know, I've never seen anyone blackballed in my 10 years in Rotary. I don't know if we even do that, but the other day somebody brought that up as a joke with some potential new members, and it just felt kind of weird.
Yeah. I brought up the part on my computer that says do not inform the prospective member of the proposal. So this should not be discussed with the proposed member at all. Just say thank you so much for your interest in Rotary and I'll get back with you. Because they should not know it's a proposal process. They should not know that their name is being submitted. And I have been part of 2 different clubs where we refused membership to someone. So you don't ever want to tell somebody, well, you know, in 2 weeks we'll induct you, because you may not. And that's a real ugly conversation when you have to talk to a prospective member and say, well, somebody didn't like you. You know, and how do you say that? Or how do you know, we don't have room for another banker. I don't know what you say. But in order to prevent that, this paragraph comes into place. You don't talk to the person about it at all. But it really should, you know, if I were president today, I would pass this out to every person in my Rotary Club and say, let's look at this together. This is the way the process works. Because I find out in my club, they don't have a clue. You know, they don't know how you go about it. And part of the time, that's the reason they don't go about it, because they go, what do I do? So, you know, you might give that to your presidents, or maybe if you attend a board meeting, pass this out and talk about it with them. Ask what their process is. But I agree with Lynn. You don't want to hurt their feelings, but you also don't want to get them too involved in the process. Okay?
Yeah, and some clubs have bylaws which require 2 weeks, 2 times posting.
Yes, my club has that, but that's not
And so does
necessarily a
mine.
Rotary. But you notice that Part B is
No,
to
but you can't just say,
correct. And here's Part B that's completed by the proposed member after board approval. So then they put information in there. So, take a look at that, print it out and look at it, and make sure that you're comfortable answering questions. And I'd take it to the board so that you can talk to them about how they do it. And Tiffany was really surprised about some of the things that we discovered this week. So members are proposed. They are not given an application. Okay, what else? There's
just to add to that a little
go
bit,
ahead.
Billy,
Yeah.
I carry a couple of these in my little handy dandy folder all the time. This is a good thing to just carry around with you.
Because
then you can explain it to some of your Rotarians.
Oh, good.
I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities. Yeah.
Okay, good. I was thinking you were going to fill them out or something. I wasn't sure where you were going with it. But here's the standard Rotary Constitution.
Well, yeah, I do that when I'm visiting prisons.
What?
I usually get one filled out when I'm in the prisons.
Good. I knew that about the Franklin Club. Okay, but you really ought to look at this proposed standard Rotary Club Constitution, because there are some things that are important for us to remember. And Gary and I talk about this a little bit, but we like to stay as close as we can to a universal Rotary process so that somebody coming from Florida receives the same courtesies as somebody from India. And so if we follow the basic concepts, we'll be okay. All right, that's the standard Constitution. And there was one more. This one is a new member orientation, and I send it to you because many of our clubs are not doing orientation. And besides Rotary engagement, this is the other reason why Rotarians leave, because they don't understand the expectations. Maybe they come to a cocktail party, they enjoyed everybody that they met, and then they got inducted. And then somebody says, okay, now you have to sell 10 tickets at $100 a piece. And by the way, we want you to sell a sponsorship, and now you had to sell a cruise ticket. And they go, whoa, 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 this is the first I've heard of this. So new member orientation, this gives you some ideas about telling them about dues, telling them about who we are. And of course, you're going to want to make it universal for your club. This is universal. But it at least gives a club that has nothing something to go on. So any ideas about orientation?
When I was president, I created a sheet, just a single sheet that gave our dues, the cost of the shirt, the information about foundation, along with some of this other information that we could give to a potential member.
Mm-hmm.
So that they would understand, because I remember coming into Rotary off of a GSE high, but not getting as much information as I needed to know what I needed at first.
Well, and to make an informed decision, Rotary might be for you, but not for a couple years. When you realize the obligations, maybe you're not ready for it. And orientation does that for them. Plus, it makes them understand the obligations of the Rotary Foundation. And I like the idea of once you give them an orientation that you hand them something to go home with, because as I've watched orientations go in our club, you've got the foundation chair there, the secretary, the treasurer, the president, and everybody tells them something, and then they leave and they go, what in the world just happened to me? So it's nice that they have a document to go home with dues data and foundation data. And it'd be nice if you gave them the calendar for the year, and even maybe a printed directory from DACDB. So all suggestions. And that's all I really had for today. I was hoping Tiffany would make it. Can we tell if, did Tiffany make it? Tiffany, are you there? Let me tell you about Tiffany Satellite Club. We're about ready to launch that. I will be there in 2 weeks, and that's when we're going to launch it. Their satellite club for Hendersonville Four Seasons has about 15 members in it. Great start. And what they're seeing is some of the evening members, which is what they meet in the evening on Monday evening, are going to the regular meeting, and some of the regular people are going to the evening meeting, and they're having a great time with it. It's a place to make up. It's a place that younger people might want to come. This is an evening meeting with no meal. They buy their drink if they choose to have a drink. Sometimes they buy a big joint hors d'oeuvre, sometimes not. So it's a much cheaper alternative, and it's much more flexible, and it typically does not necessarily even last a whole hour. So we're looking at what that's going to look like. I just met with...
Beer was right out there. It's gone. He went up in the thing. I was afraid to move.
Lake Hickory, I just met with their board today, and they're ready to jump off and start a very similar one. It's going to meet in the evening, 5:30, buy a drink or not buy a drink, and maybe just do pretzels and peanuts or something that they bring. They already have a meeting space, and they have about 15 younger professionals, and I say younger, so they're under the age of 40, that are interested in becoming members. So this is a great way to increase our membership in a club, get more hands and feet, but they don't have to join our traditional lunch, an hour obligation. So we're real excited about this. She's got several other locations. So if any of your clubs are interested, let Tiffany know. I don't want to hear anything. I'm overloaded as it is. Any questions? Suggestions? And you're all still there, so
We are all still here.
anything else? Because I don't want to just keep you on the phone for nothing. Dales, do you have anything else?
Have a great week.
Okay, Biddle, do you have anything?
Just go register on.
Okay. Register AGs if you've been tapped for next year, and I'm assuming, Gary Dills, that they know if they've been tapped for next year.
They all know, and we want the currently serving ones there as well.
Okay, so we want the old and the new because he's doing planning. So everybody get on DACDB and register. The cost is $0. Just your time, and we appreciate your time.
Zippo.
Okay, thank you so much for showing up and being receptive.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, John.
Okay.
Okay.
See you tomorrow.
Okay,
11
John.
o'clock.
11 o'clock.